All right, let's do it. The NBA tip-off show powered by WagerTalk.com. Nice slate of games here tonight in the association to kick off the week. We're going to break down a few of them for you, come up with a couple of best bets, and as always, take your questions as we welcome in the Monday crew here. Skee Profit ready to roll on this Monday slate, as is Brian Power ready to do this. Shout out to those of you hanging out in the chat rooms with us. Hobby Cash certainly in the house, as is A Life in Vegas. Don't forget, guys, any questions, comments you got, drop them in the chat section there, and we will, of course, answer any questions that you have. But in the meantime, we're going to talk to the contrarian gods first, who seem to have eyed, I don't know if they're high or what's going on with the contrarian gods, but they seem to be focusing in on the Atlanta Hawks, Ski. Good Christ. The Atlanta Hawks at this point, coming off a loss to Portland, not great. Now taking on Sacramento. I guess the good news is Sacramento, they're still down a couple of big guns. I guess DeMar DeRozan, Sabonis still not going to be playing. This number is hovering around 5. Any value in your eyes? Both these teams, I think, 3 games, 4 nights, something along those lines? Any value in taking the points?
Well, yeah, it's the back-to-back for the Hawks, 3rd and 4 nights for them, 3rd and 4th for the Kings, 4th and 6th as well. But, I mean, you already mentioned it. This Kings team is top-heavy, and they're missing 3 of their top guys, DeMar DeRozan, Malik Monk, and Sabonis. I often talk about how much I do not trust the bench. So it just becomes, to me, in my mind, De'Aaron Fox versus Trae Young, Jalen Johnson, Dyson Daniels. And I think the Hawks are more than capable of keeping this one respectable. The Kings, in general, are just not a team that I look at to lay points with. So I would only look towards the Hawks here in this spot.
Yeah, it's disgusting, but I get where the contrarian gods are coming from, Brian Power, because I don't know that I can lay 5 with the Kings in this spot here. Can you?
Disgusting is something I can always get behind, Joe. And yeah, I like the Hawks in this spot. We talked about the lack of depth already. Skee mentioned that. Well, what else? What more can you get from De'Aaron Fox than you've gotten in the last 2 games? The man scored 104 points the last 2 games. I don't think he's going to give you a higher average tonight. So 3 of the top 5 guys out. Your one of your 2 top guys can't possibly give you any more. I think Dyson Daniels, who Skee mentioned, could do a good job limiting Fox. I mean, you can't stop him. It's a relative term, but I think he can limit him. And, DeAndre Hunter sat out last night because it was the front end of a back-to-back for Atlanta. The Hawks, the reason they lost to Portland, they turned the ball over 27 times. That is just ungodly. Led to 32 points for the Blazers. Take better care of the basketball. I think the Hawks win. It was last week on the show we talked about the Hawks with no depth. Tonight, it's the Kings. And I think it comes back to Burnham. I would co-sign what Skee said. I don't like laying points with Sacramento ever. So it's Atlanta or pass. I am riding with the contrarian gods in this one.
Well, God help us, as the contrarian gods are getting a lift here from both Skee Profit and Brian Power, which means here come the Kings, because what the hell else choice do we have here now that we all agree on the same crap? So there we got it. Shout out Big Daddy joining us, Titan CT. Always a pleasure to see you guys. We've got a couple of more featured matchups here that we are going to take a look at here, gentlemen. And let's take a look at one game here that this has been an interesting line movement, to say the least here, and that is going to be Houston at Milwaukee. I'm guessing by the line movement here, and you tell me, Skee, but I'm guessing everyone thinks Lillard's playing. Certainly the total is an interesting move here. And even if he does, are we loving Milwaukee? Do we trust Milwaukee in this spot to get it done? Oh, mute it.
My bad.
Muted.
You guys.
There you go.
But I just double check. I was pretty sure I saw him as probable. That's what I still see for Lillard. So I expect him to be out there. And I feel like this is a game where the line is very telling, right? You have a Bucks team that is 4-9 versus a Rockets team that's 10-4. Rockets have won I think 5 in a row at least, and they come in here as an underdog. I think it's a game that the Bucks have to start getting back on track, And what better time than when you add Damian Lillard back into the lineup? I think Giannis can do whatever he wants versus his team. I would also look towards his rebounds. I believe he's had, I think he had like an average of closer to 15 or maybe even more than that the last 6 times he's played the Rockets. So I think the Bucks can dominate. I would look towards them on the side. And like I said, Giannis on the prop.
Yeah, I mean, what you had coming off of that, what was it, 143-107 win there, BP, the Rockets, I think, demolished the Bulls there. Now, all of a sudden, they got a desperate Milwaukee Bucks team here tonight that has all the pieces together. Do you trust them? Is really the question here. Does Houston keep rolling, or do the 4-9 Milwaukee Bucks finally get one back here?
Yeah, let's look at the win last night against Chicago, Joe. Certainly, in terms of a back-to-back, maybe you're not that worried about it with Houston because none of the 5 starters played more than 29 minutes last night. You had 7 guys finishing double figures. But that's a Bulls team that literally plays fast and loose. The Bulls are number 1 in the league in pace. They turned the ball over a lot. They were dominated in the paint. Houston last night had a 66-47 rebounding edge, not to mention a 2-1 edge in scoring in the paint. I am with Skee here. I don't think they can repeat what they did last night. I know Houston didn't shoot the 3 well last night, but they generally don't shoot the 3 well anyway, so I don't think you're going to see a ton of improvement in that regard. I like the Bucks laying the short number here with Lillard coming back. I know he's been a liability defensively when he's in there, but he's obviously the much-needed second scoring option next to Giannis. I still project Milwaukee to be a top 6 team in this weak Eastern Conference. Similar to what Skee said, they got to get going eventually, right? And let's note, 4 of the Bucks' losses, when you look at this start, Joe, to the season, this disappointing start, I think only Philadelphia has been more disappointing than Milwaukee record-wise, but 4 of the Bucks' losses so far have come to Cleveland and Boston, by far the top 2 in the East. And oh, by the way, those 2 losses to Cleveland were by a combined 3 points. Milwaukee's won 3 of their last 4 at home. Only loss was to Boston. I think they dominate from behind the 3-point line in this game, and I would lay it with Milwaukee. Oh, by the way, Houston, as a road underdog since the start of last season, just 6-26 straight up, 12-19-1 against the number.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about Milwaukee, but no championship is won or lost, obviously, here in November. So let's all settle down with sticking a fork in Milwaukee. They haven't had Middleton. They lost Lillard for what, 3 games, 4 games, something like that for the concussion. So they did lose to Charlotte over the weekend, but, they had won a couple of games prior without them. Now they'll get Lillard back. I get why the market's excited here. The total was also interesting in this one here, as Big Daddy points out, of course, that they can't hold leads. They coughed up the lead against Detroit. Yes, but again, with Lillard in there, they'll be able to outshoot Houston, is, I think, the prevailing concept here is that, especially at home, they'll be able to outshoot this Houston team that, let's face it, 140 points in an NBA game is a little obnoxious. There's going to be a little regression here at some point. All right, we got another featured matchup here tonight. Golden State taking on the Clippers, the late game here. And, I don't know. I mean, the Clippers seem like they've played every night for like the last month. And Golden State feels like they're coming in rested again, Skee. I don't know here. I mean, we know the knee thing with Curry. He's going to be basically questionable for the rest of the season, it feels like. But I have no doubt, because I think they don't have another game for a couple of days. So he'll probably play tonight on some level. Is it? I get all the money coming in on Golden State. Do you agree with that? Is it just Golden State all the way for you as well?
I think I do agree here. What you said to start, it doesn't feel like that. That's exactly what it is. It's a back-to-back for the Clippers, 4th and 6th nights for them. And yes, the Warriors' last game was on the 15th, so they have 2 days rest. Steph Curry, I did see him go through shoot-around, so I'm expecting him to be out there and play at least some. And it is a chance for the Warriors to get some revenge. When I look at these games, and a lot of what I look at numbers-wise is last 5 games. That's how I like to analyze. The Warriors' defensive rating is what stands out to me. It's at 23, and that's the one thing that was holding me up. But when I think about it more, I mean, let's look at who they've been playing, right? They played a lot of the top teams and they beat them all, even though, some of them score points. That Warriors offense is able to keep up versus them as well. So I just think the Warriors are the much better team. They're in a spot where they should absolutely win. As long as Curry's out there on the floor, it's hard for me to see them not covering this game.
Yeah, it is. I think it's going to be. It's very hard to look the other way here, BP, with the Clippers. The spot screams Golden State, especially with Curry going to give it a go. I don't know. The Golden State, is that a train we want to get into? I mean, I can almost make the argument that may be a little light, this number, no?
Yeah, I know. Now it's been bet up. I would say if you're afraid of getting the worst of the number, maybe you look at the Warriors team total. We talked about that a little bit on the morning wager this morning, Mark Zinno and I. The Warriors have scored 115 or more in all but 2 games this year. Now, one of the 2 games they did not was against the Clippers, but that was the season opener. So I would expect a much better offensive showing here from the Warriors. But I pretty much just echo Skee's sentiments here in the sense that it's the much better team rested, laying a short number. The Clippers did win last night, but it was against the Jazz. Utah, bottom of the league team. Golden State, I mentioned this. There are 4 teams in the league, Joe, that have separated themselves from the rest of the pack. Oklahoma City, Cleveland, Boston, and Golden State. I think there is a big drop-off from those 4. The Warriors are 9-3 against the number, playing with revenge. They've actually lost 4 in a row to the Clippers going back to last year. And I mentioned in the Atlanta-Sacramento game how you can't get any more production than what you've gotten from Fox the last 2 games. Well, Curry, Golden State beats Memphis on Friday. Curry had just 13 points. You figure you're going to get more from him tonight. And again, the substantial rest edge, I think all signs point to Golden State getting that revenge for that season opening loss. I would lay it here.
Lay it. Don't be afraid to do it with Golden State. It's actually been a profitable endeavor all year long with this team. Big shout out to those of you guys joining us live here today on the stream in the chat room. We appreciate you stopping by. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button or the like button if you're new to us here. We always appreciate the support. We're going to talk a total coming up here in a minute. A total that went the other way actually doesn't go up. It goes down. We'll talk about that coming up here. Also in the chat, looks like we've got, we got some comments coming in. We got Josh, what is his money bag, saying those Bucks takes are awful. You know what else is awful, Josh? People who don't know how to spell bags. That's pretty awful as well. We also, and by the way, Josh, don't tell us. Tell your book how awful those takes are. Don't tell us. Nobody here gives a shit. By the way, big shout out to Big Daddy. Buddy Hield over 2.5 3-pointers. Only way for me to play this game here. Not a bad take either. I can see Buddy going off. That's usually a solid situation there. G Hurt, we got you with Atlanta. Good to see you finally got here. S. Warrior still crying because Miami can't win a damn game. Big shout out also to Have Cash hanging out with us in the chat room. We appreciate you guys. Word is, I guess Harden just left the strip club. That's what we're hearing, apparently. Thank you very much for that inside take. And of course, Have Cash always on top of everything. All right, let's talk a total because we've got one that's gone the other way in this one here, which I thought was a little strange here. But let's take a look at the Pacers and the Raptors. It opened up 237.5. It's down to 234. I always find it interesting, Skee, when Pacer totals go the other way. Usually they're always bet up. This one's being bet down here. Do you agree with that here? And I'm guessing Toronto's offense has a lot to do with this.
Yeah, my first thought when I see these two teams on the schedule is immediately, I think of these two as more over. The Pacers usually want to play fast. Raptors start off the season playing fast. But that's not really what we've been seeing lately. I mean, pace-wise, Raptors are 4th slowest, and Indiana is right there at 18th. The next thing that comes to my mind is after the game they played, not the last game, but the game before last for the Pacers, that's a game where Rick Carlisle benched his starters because they weren't playing with enough effort, energy, and he was just going off or it felt to me like he was going off and, talking really bad about them in the post game interview, and they responded with a win. I think that Pacers defense will show up more than what we expect in this game. I think the pace will continue to be a little bit slower, and just the situation for both of these teams, I think calls for an under for me. It's the second of a back-to-back for the Pacers. You're missing a few guys there. For the Raptors, you're missing a hell of a lot of guys. Third game before nights. The last game was an overtime game. I think the market is moving this one in the right direction. Under 234 or 234 and a half. I would agree with that.
Are you liking the move towards the under here? Yeah, I mean, listen, they bounced back against Miami, BP, last night, got it done, but that game, I believe, landed under. I think they really had, 200 and under 220, I think, last night in that game against Miami, or 230 in that game last night in Miami. So what are we looking at here tonight? Do you agree with the market move? Another game under 230 here in the Pacer book?
It actually just went over, Joe, because it was 229 total points on a total of 227.5 last night, the Toronto-Miami game. Now, what's crazy about this one, guys, you look at the last, 4 times these teams have met? Yeah, last 4 times these teams have met. Mm-hmm. You have seen 263, 252, 252, and 263 total points scored. Obviously, all overs, and the market was telling you what direction to go. Every single one of those totals closed north of 240. Here, yes, I think the market is speaking volumes going in the other direction. With it being the second night of a back-to-back for Indiana, I think that's substantial. The pace, Skee mentioned, I think that's substantial. It's scary because these are 2 of the bottom 7 teams in defensive efficiency. Toronto's really down there. I just, I look at the Raptors. Before they put up the 123 against Boston, and that was overtime, 95, 85, 103, 103, 107. If you don't feel comfortable, maybe the Raptors team total under, because to me, I think it's somewhat correlated. This game, if the Raptors aren't scoring, this game's not going over. But I'll agree with the market. It's not a client play or anything, but I would lean towards the under. But you might want to look at a Toronto team total under as well, because I think this game going under is contingent on the Raptors stinking offensively, which they often do.
Oh, boy. Yeah, I mean, that lineup of Indiana, I mean, everyone, I know they were talking about it in the chat rooms as well, that Turner guy, I mean, who the hell is left playing for Indiana here tonight? I guess maybe that's the big concern, but under across the board, agreeing with the market move when it comes to the total in that game. I believe it was Wheezy over on TikTok wanted to know, besides the total in there, Toronto win this game, BP. Would you rather take the points here, or would you rather lay it if you had to, knowing that maybe the under is the look here?
I mean, it is really tough to back Toronto. I mean, I back some hideous teams sometimes, but I mean, you're talking about a team that's lost 7 in a row, 9 of 10. Only win, by the way, was when they were getting points against Sacramento, going back to our earlier point about not wanting to lay points with the Kings. I mean, they covered 6 of these last 10 games, but I don't know. I mean, I guess they're motivated. You look at some of the recent losses, they were close. Obviously, they got kind of jobbed by the officials against Boston. They only lost by 4 to Detroit at home, only by 2 to the Clippers, only by 2 at Denver. So they haven't necessarily been getting blown out, I guess, in a lot of these games. So I guess there maybe is an argument to take. I would not lay it. I know that for sure. I guess it would be a dog or pass situation, but I prefer the under to the side final verdict for me.
2-3 over on YouTube Shorts talking about looking at Toronto's Abaji props over, points props over for Toronto, which is a interesting look here because, well, let's face it, they're going to need somebody to score some points if that thing is going over, if they're going to even keep it within 4 in that one. All right, let's talk here. We got some best bets coming up. And, of course, I see you guys talking about a couple of games, different games in the chat room. We'll go around the horn and see what the guys think afterwards here after their best bets. But Skee, why don't you kick it off for us here, my man? Interesting slate here tonight. Is there a game or a prop or something you like a little more than the rest here?
Well, for the sake of talking about something that we haven't talked about, I will go to Washington and New York, and I'll look at the total. It went up from 231.5 to 233.5, and I believe I'm in agreement with that. You look at both of these teams, first of all, last 5 games. Wizards absolutely play up tempo. They're top 5 in pace, and Knicks are in the top half as well. Both of these are bottom 10 defensive rated teams. So that's what stands out to me. Also, I know the Wizards offense has been bad at times in general this season, but 2 of their last 3 games, I mean, they put up, 117, they put up 130. They started to look a little better, and I believe they're healthier right now. The Knicks, both of these teams also, I believe, played yesterday. The Knicks, they didn't shoot well in that game. I think they shot like 32% from 3. I would expect them to shoot a lot better from 3, especially versus Wizards defense. And I think the Wizards offense will continue to look good because Knicks haven't been playing defense either. So over 233.5 would be my recommendation on this one.
Over 233.5 in that game with the Wizards. And we know one thing, they're going to run the Wizards. Woo, they're going to run. Hopefully enough buckets go in, but damn, they're going to get up their shots in that one for sure, Skee. BP, how about you for a best bet? What are you looking at here tonight?
Yeah, let's go back to that Milwaukee-Houston game, Joe. Look, I think this is only a matter of time before the Bucks get going. Lillard back is the big story. Again, you look at the Milwaukee's quote-unquote disappointing start, 4 of those losses to Cleveland and Boston. Like I said, 2 of the 2 losses to Cleveland, who obviously is not lost this year, were by a combined 3 points. And while Houston has the better record, they are not rested. It's the second night of a back-to-back. That 143-107 win over Chicago on Sunday had more to do with the Bulls just playing absolutely abhorrent basketball than it really did the Rockets doing anything right. Third game in 4 nights, not just the second night of a back-to-back for Houston. And Houston, yes, they're improved. Yes, I like what they're doing there, but they're still 6-26 straight up, 12-19-1 against the number as a road underdog since the start of last season. Milwaukee, I think they're motivated off that overtime loss in Charlotte. They thought they got a raw deal from the officials, Joe, on that late foul call on Ball. I think they thought that should have been a no call. I think the Bucks dominate from 3-point range tonight, especially if Lillard returns. They've won 3 of 4 at home. Overall, only lost to Boston. I will lay the points with Milwaukee.
Oh, laying it with Milwaukee. Well, don't tell you know who, Mr. Beggs. Doesn't agree with that at all. All right, let's if we can take a look.
It was a good weekend, wasn't it, Joe?
I'm just saying, you just can't. Do not come into this chat room with that crap. Let me ask you guys here. Houston, we have a problem. RH, look at that, Robert Harris Jr. Houston, we have a problem.
What up, Robert?
Well, you're damn straight. You just pissed off Robert Harris, BP. Way to go.
No.
Outstanding stuff. Way to go. Now I got to bet Houston. Outstanding, Robert. I am with you there. We have a couple of different questions and different games coming on in here. And by the way, we should mention, Big Daddy points out that James Capers is the ref for the Raptors game. So keep that in mind moving forward. That might not have any problem going over the total now that I see that. Everybody gets a free throw. You get a free throw. He gets a free throw. Everybody's at the line. Let's talk about this interesting enough, the Miami Heat game, guys, that they're taking on the Sixers. It looks like Jimmy's a go. Jaime Jaquez is a go. Rozier is out. Embiid still doubtful. And the only reason I think this is interesting is not from the side, but from the total, because Miami, to your point, BP, I don't think they've played an under in a month. Every one of their games seems to be going over lately. And now this total down to 11 to 11 and a half from 214 and a half. So I guess the big question is, can Philadelphia score enough here, Skee, in order to get this thing over the total. It feels low for a Miami team that's been shooting a ton of threes, and it looks like they'll have their complement of guys back on the court here tonight.
Yeah, but on the other side, you're missing a whole lot of scoring with Maxey and Embiid. So I look at the last 5 games for the Sixers. They've been the 3rd worst offense. They have picked it up on the defensive end. They're a top 10 defense, and neither one of these teams are playing with pace. So I think maybe Miami games are going over just because they're lining them low, and their defense has been a little bit subpar. But I'm not running to the window to bet over here. If I'm betting this one, it would be under. Or I tried to find reasons to go and back the Sixers today because I do think it's a Sixers spot.
Right.
The rest advantage 2 days compared to back-to-back for the Heat. And just looking at their record, like they got to, just like the Bucks, they got to start, going to. But at the same time, so do the Heat. So lean Sixers, lean under, but I won't be playing this game.
Yeah, I don't even know. I mean, BP, what? Team total under, over for Miami? If we're going to play anything, because I think the points will come from Miami. They should be able to get up and over it, but the big question is, will Philadelphia contribute enough to even get this thing to sniff up and over? But Miami back-to-back with Indiana here, not a great spot for them here.
No, it's not. It's their first home game back after, a 6-game road trip? Traditionally, we see NBA teams struggle in that spot. I really want to take Philadelphia here. I made a case earlier this morning on the Power 5, but are the Philadelphia 76ers just a Ponzi scheme at this point? I mean, do we need to send Dan Alexander back home to investigate? What is this? Joel Embiid illness? I mean, this guy's making worse excuses than I did in law school, Joe, to get out of work. I mean, this guy's he's shoving reporters. He doesn't want to play in a back-to-back. Now he has an illness. What is going on? I mean, no Maxey. I mean, I would still try to make the case because McCain has been, it's like the rookie of the year so far. I know it's only November. I guess Paul George is still going to play unless if he comes up with an excuse. But you're right. This Sixers offense, full disclosure, I have the Sixers on Friday against Orlando. They were winning outright the entire game until they scored 14 points total over the last 14 minutes. I mean, I don't know what to do with this Philadelphia team. They're very upsetting right now. We talked about Milwaukee eventually has to get going, but at least, there's some signs of life there. Here in Philadelphia, I don't know. I mean, it's a bad scene, man. I want to take Philadelphia so bad, but because the spot screams take him. But, I mean, no Embiid?
No.
What are we doing?
That's the problem. Yep, that's the problem. How in the world can you trust him to get it done? Although in his defense, though, when I found out you were on the show today, I felt an illness as well. But yet here I am. So what the hell is Embiid's problem? All right, final game here. Then we'll get what you guys got going on. I know there were some concerns there, Skee, or questions about what the hell do you do with this Pistons-Bulls game. I saw some props popping up. 4.5. It's been all Pistons money. It opened up at 3. I'm seeing 4.5 now in the marketplace. The total has been bet up as well to 234. And we mentioned, of course, the Bulls getting absolutely blasted there by Houston last game out. But what are we thinking here? Detroit, are they the right side in this one? Because the market certainly thinks that that's the way we should be looking.
Well, I don't really care for a side. I'm not into laying points with Detroit. That's just not what I want to do.
Yeah.
With Chicago, I mean, it's a one-way ticket with this team. Either you bet the over or you stay off the game for me. They play extremely up-tempo, and they don't play a lick of defense. So games like that, I could see this one getting up and over to 234. I would agree with the market pushing it up. Other than that, Josh Giddey, his point prop did get low to 21.5. It's raised up today, or it's raised up since, this morning to 22.5. But he averages a little bit under 25. It's a game that still possibly winnable for them. So in a game like that, I think he'll continue to get a lot of minutes. And I forget the exact number. I have it in my notes, but he's cleared this, I think, 11 out of 14 times so far this season, maybe 10 out of 14. Wow. So I like Giddey over his PRA tonight.
Yeah, like Giddey up and over. I know Tobias Harris stealing rebounds from Doran. Seems like Doran is capped. Maybe looking at a an under on his rebounds in this game here. BP, you can't run and lay points with Detroit at home. Are they at that point yet? Is that what we're doing?
No, you can't lay points. I'll tell you what, if games were only 45 minutes long, Joe, Detroit would be a hell of a team, but they still invent ways to lose down the stretch. I mean, you look at some of these losses they've had recently, they're all close, right? I mean, there was that game they had. It was actually last Tuesday when I was on the show. They wound up still beating Miami. Remember, they were up by 9 with 1 minute and 10 seconds left, and incredibly turned the ball over 3 straight times and let Hero hit 3 straight threes. So, yeah, you cannot lay points with Detroit. As an underdog, they're a feisty underdog. I like what they're doing, but I don't want to lay points. So maybe we look at Detroit's team total because all of Skee's points are well taken. The Chicago team plays fast. They don't play a lick of defense. You look at the Bulls' last 3 games, they've given up 143, 144, and 123. Now, that was against Houston, Cleveland, and the Knicks, all better teams than Detroit. But at the same time, that's a lot of points. And I think Detroit can certainly score a lot, but just would not want to lay with them. Don't want to worry about them winning by margin because they do a lot of stupid things down the stretch.
Yeah, they really do. Fourth quarters are not been kind to them at all here. They are a great first, to your point, a great first half team, but good luck trying to count on them to finish a game out. Slump Kruger on Instagram wants to know if the Celtics are playing. No, not tonight. But they do have maybe the game of the night tomorrow night against Brian Powers' Cleveland Cavaliers. So could the streak end tomorrow night there, Skee? Although, I don't know, it's not like Boston's been playing absolutely fantastic. BP, did they have a look-ahead line in this? Anything posted? I think I saw 5 earlier today. Does that sound about right? Celtics laying 5?
I thought it was 3.5, 5. All of a sudden, I'm getting a little excited. That's a game where I just want to see what the public is doing and then just do the opposite. Honestly, not to be that guy
and go the other way.
That's kind of what I would look for. It feels like everyone's going to be on Boston, doesn't it? Now, admittedly,
they are early. Yep.
Yeah. Admittedly, the last 2 days, I've bet against a couple undefeated teams and lived to tell the story. Cashed a couple tickets. Bet against BYU Saturday night. Bet against the Kansas City Chiefs yesterday. So yeah, all good things must come to an end. But I mean, man, the Cleveland Cavaliers, Kenny Atkinson, what a hire! I love the hire. He was their free agent acquisition. We don't think of a coaching hire as a free agent acquisition. What a coach. What an upgrade over Bickerstaff. I told everyone Bickerstaff sucked when they fired him last year. So, yeah, I don't know, man. The way Cleveland can score and shoot the 3, you're giving them points?
Yep.
In a situation where everyone's going to fade them? Yeah, I mean, I would probably actually look to take the points with Cleveland.
And I also saw the total got stayed it opened up 227.5, 231.5 is what we're seeing there. My goodness. They are expecting points, at least the market, which makes sense. What do we got here, Skee, though, tonight across the board here? We got decent NBA slate. What do you got locked and loaded? Monday Night Football. What do we got locked and loaded over at WagerTalk.com?
Well, yes. I do want to shout out. I started off college basketball 7-0. I just want to shout that out. I don't have a play tonight, but I will very likely have a play tomorrow. In the NBA, I didn't put anything yet, but I'm literally, as soon as this show is ending, gonna load up. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 plays that I'm loading in, and one of them is gonna be a 4% best bet. So if you would like to be involved, you can check out my page right there, WagerTalk.
Big Jason Meyer over on YouTube Short. Shout out to Ski in the house. Big shout out to you, Jason. Thanks very much. Don't forget, you guys, hit that like button or hit the subscribe button if you're new to us here at Wager Talk TV. We certainly appreciate you hanging out with us here today. BP, how about you? Lock loaded, ready to roll here today at WagerTalk.com?
Yeah, Milwaukee is a client play that you got for free here by listening to the show. I have a 4% best bet as well on Monday Night Football, Texans Cowboys. As I mentioned, Joe, just moments ago, we had the big winner on the Bills. That was a 5% max bet yesterday. Also coming off yet another fantastic week in college football. 3-1 Saturday, 1 on Friday as well. So it's 4-1 over the week. We're now 55-25, our last 80 college football picks. That deal, $229 for the rest of the season, still available at my page. You see right there, wt.buzz/BP. Get you every winner that I release from now through the national championship game.
Well, let me run this by here because these guys in Instagram are drinking again during the day, and we love you for it. But I'm being told, Skee, a Houston money line parlay tonight. The Texans and the Houston Rockets there. Two-team money line parlay here. What are you thinking, Skee? Are we going all Houston tonight?
Is that the bad guy again?
Yep, that's correct. No, different. Might as well be, though, at this point.
There's no way that I do not think that play is cashing. I mean, it might look sweet right now, but I don't think you're walking to the window at the end of the night. I think you're going to take that walk of shame out the door instead. So stay away from that one.
I will tell you this on the Texans, and I thought it was the most obscene trend I've ever seen. The Texans are 9-1 in the first half against the number this year. They're 1-9 in the second half of games this year. You want to talk about teams that have a problem closing? Yeah, good luck. They may have the lead in the first half, even against Dallas, but good luck holding on to that lead there because they haven't done it all goddamn year, BP. It's one of the most obnoxious trends I've ever seen. What in the hell is going on in the locker room at halftime that you're 1-9 in against the number in the second half?
I had the Texans last Sunday against the Detroit Lions and have never felt more physically ill during a second half with a 23-7 lead than I did with that. I just knew it was just a matter of please only lose by 3. Please. I mean, at the end of the game, you're basically just rooting for the Lions to kick a game-winning field goal so the thing doesn't go into overtime. So yeah, no, I would no, the Houston money line parlay. How do I say this? It's a bad idea. Sorry, Robert Harris.
It's a bad idea.
A lot.
Well,
yeah,
in their defense. It's Instagram, and they do drink a lot during the day. So, I mean, what the hell else are you going to do if you're hanging out over there? Oh, wait a minute. I think Bags is back, and he's pissed. Looks like Big Daddy Titan CT. Yeah, looks like they just a life in Vegas. Yep, you guys called it. He still doesn't spell it right, though, but congratulations, guys. Outstanding thing says our jokes are worse than our picks, huh?
Oh, okay. At first, he said our picks were as bad as our picks, which is, I mean, I think they would be the same.
Well, I'm thinking literacy is not at the top of his list of things to gather. So, yes, I'm gaining that maybe that we're just taking shortcuts around the world. All right, Josh Moneybags, go tell the book how bad our picks are. Don't tell us again. Nobody gives a shit here. On behalf of Skee, though. Yeah.
It's a very early 2000s handle with a Z instead of an S.
Yeah, with a Z. That's good. I bet he drives an IROC. Get the hell out of here. Will you please? All right, guys, always a pleasure. Skee Profit, we appreciate you. Also, Brian Power, make sure you visit those guys over at WagerTalk.com. You guys are the best, man. Don't forget, hit that like button, subscribe button on the way out. Shout out to Desmond Castro, by the way. Wanted to hit him up over on YouTube Shorts. And we love you, day drinkers. On Instagram, Texans -3 first half is the only way I would look there. Akita Tyson 95. That's the only way we'd look on that one. Mr. Jonathan, appreciate you. Alabama 46-46 over on TikTok. You guys are the best. We'll be back again tomorrow for another edition of the NBA Tip-Off Show. And yes, Bags, you're invited. Come on back. Tell us how bad we suck again tomorrow. We certainly appreciate it, guys. Best of luck with the plays. We'll see you again tomorrow.